Hi, my name is Parcsen, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Experts. Sleep apnea is an issue that affects 1 in 3 Singaporeans. My guest, Joe Ng, is a fellow sleep apnea sufferer, and today he is a clinical certified sleep technologist and runs a company, Yes CPAP, as a community service to help people get better sleep. Yes, CPAP is also fully licensed and certified company and is a recommended sleep apnea vendor for NUH and Alexandra Hospital. Wow, Joe, you must be a very busy man.
Hi, Parkson. Okay, I'm reasonably busy, but of course, I really do enjoy working with people who have sleep apnea because I like to see their lives changed for the better.
Josh, can you share with us your personal experience of sleep apnea? When did it start?
For me, I've always been a bit of a sleepyhead. If I go back very, very long ago, even in secondary school, primary school, I've had difficulty waking up in the mornings. In my poly days, I started to have quite a bit of daytime tiredness. In fact, I would basically be such a sleepyhead that at some point, one of my poly lecturers took me aside and he asked me, Josh, do you take drugs? And I was like, yeah. So, of course, the answer is no. But I had no idea what was going on to me in those days. Um, I would say that I had a lot of trouble with sleep in my national service days as well. During guard duty, I would find my body to be extremely stressed because of the very challenging sleep and wake cycle. It's like you have to sleep 2 hours, wake 1 hour, sleep 2 hours, wake 1 hour. That is quite disastrous for somebody who has a sleep disorder looking back. But in those days, I did not know that I have a sleep disorder. Okay, fast forward to my mid 20s and to late 20s, I was in university by then, having frequent headaches in the afternoons, and just kind of like brushing it off and saying, probably this is just me studying too hard, which is, if I look back on it, that's not, yeah, it's most likely because I had sleep apnea. Um, and one of the strange things I noticed while growing up is when I wake up from a nap, my face is oily. Okay, so what does that tell me? It tells me that my body was stressed in its sleep. Yeah, but in those days, I did hear on and off about sleep apnea because I have my sis has another friend who in those days used the CPAP machine. So I got exposed quite early on to what a CPAP machine is. But it was only in my late 20s where one day, eventually, around 2013 to 2015, okay, so about a good 10 years ago, I got married, okay, and then I started to have vertigo attacks besides the daily headaches and the brain fog. Yeah, so my work performance started to be severely affected. Like I was just a walking zombie at work. I had no idea what was going on a lot of the time. Always looking forward to the next nap. Yeah, and for me, the last straw was getting dizzy, and I had a vertigo attack on stage. Okay, so my vision was just spinning, rotating, starting to hold on to the music stand and just try to not fall, not collapse. Yeah, and eventually my good friend and my wife had to bring me off stage and spent the next 2 3 days, instead of being able to attend the camp, recuperating in my hotel room. Had to vomit quite a few times because of the vertigo. So just going back a bit, in June of that same year, um, I used to fall sick quite often also, like, normal flu, typical flu, maybe once every 1 or 2 months. And then I was putting on weight also. So my GP asked me, um, do you think you might have sleep apnea? And I was like, oh yeah, maybe. So I kind of like did explore a little bit, I went to a hospital, did a allergy prick test, found out that I was allergic to dust. And I think that's helpful. They told me that a sleep test was going to cost $1,000. Okay, so that is when I kind of balked and kind of like just paused the whole like process. So I didn't go through with that sleep test because it was so costly. But fast forward to December, ended up getting a CPAP machine, and it and really helped me. Like started to get so much better. I no longer had those vertigo attacks. My headaches were coming down. Eventually, I learned how to further optimize my CPAP pressure settings and also my overall, CPAP experience, preventing mask and mouth leaks. Yeah, ended up, causing me to, slowly get my health back. The vertigo attacks stopped, the headache stopped. Um, yeah, in fact, even other things that I had previously had, like I mentioned, I often used to fall sick, every 2, 3 months, 1 or 2 months. Uh, that was down to like 2 or 3 times a year. I used to have a lot of mouth ulcers, frequent ulcers. Now ulcers to me is once or 0 times a year. Even things like indigestion issues. I used to have frequent indigestion issues, and after CPAP therapy is so much under control. Do I still use a CPAP machine? Yes, I do. So I've used many different brands in the last 10 years, basically been a long-term user of CPAP therapy. Today, I use a brand and a model called the iBreeze, okay, the iBreeze PAP series. Um, I've been using it myself for the last 3 years to good effect. I basically have become the authorized distributor for it as well. It represents a good value for money solution to CPAP therapy. So just to share that pretty much the next competitor's price for a full-fledged auto CPAP is about 2.2K in Singapore. Our price is 1.2K onwards for an auto CPAP. Okay, so it's a $1,000 difference, significantly cheaper. We want to make that barrier of entry low for people who need CPAP therapy, and that's why I call my organization Yes CPAP, is so that people will say yes to CPAP.
How does a person find out whether he has sleep apnea? I know you have this device, and you actually I went through the test. So maybe you
Mm-hmm.
can describe
Mm-hmm.
that test, and then
Okay.
maybe we can also talk about my results.
Okay. So we have a home sleep test. It's basically a ring you wear it around your index finger or your thumb, and it records between 1 to 4 nights of sleep data. It also picks up things like your blood oxygen. It picks up things like your heart rate. It picks up your motion as well, body movement. It's a little bit similar to those smartwatches that you can have, but the distinct advantage of the home sleep test is that it records blood oxygen every second. Okay, for watches, generally the frequency is per minute. Okay, so when you have that per second accuracy, we're better able to detect sleep apnea. Yeah. So you were talking about your own sleep test. Thanks for taking the time
Volunteering.
to do volunteering yourself to do a home sleep test. Okay, this is your home sleep test. The first graph is your blood oxygen level over the night, and the second is your pulse rate over the night, and the third is your movement, your motion in the night. Okay, overall, I would say that you appear to possibly have some signs of mild to moderate sleep apnea. When we do graphs like this, it's important to know first of all, what does a normal graph look like? Okay, so a normal graph, a healthy person would have 95% blood oxygen through the night. Okay, excuse my drawing, which is kind of gone a bit strange. So this line of 95% is what a normal person should experience. Okay, so any dip below the 95% line uh, is a sign of possible sleep apnea. Okay, so we do see 2 or 3 profound periods. Maybe this is actually 2 periods that sort of combine into one. So this is maybe 2 periods of profound, desaturations where the oxygen level goes down. This is another. This is another. In a way, this is another as well. And this at the end of the sleep, or at the end of the recording was another. And we also see the corresponding increase of heart rate. Okay, so usually when a person has periods of low oxygen, the heart is also working harder. You can see that the heart rate kind of corresponds, right? It's gone and spiked, okay, especially over here. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and
Okay.
then you see when your blood
That's
oxygen was better, like over here, your heart rate was more at rest here as well. Yeah. So when your blood oxygen went down again, you can see your heart rate spiking again. And then see once again, your blood oxygen was a little bit better here, and then your heart rate was more calm here as well. And then you can see again during this period of what is most likely obstructive sleep apnea, your heart rate was spiking here again, and then just before you woke, the same thing. Yeah, so we can see um, what I would say is signs of possible sleep apnea. Okay, so based on this, you can consider doing a CPAP trial. What we do offer is a free trial of CPAP for 2 weeks when you buy a mask from us. Okay, so our service does include diagnostics and also treatment of sleep apnea. Okay,
so if
yeah.
somebody, let's say, suffers from sleep apnea, let's say in the 20s or 30s, as he gets older, does it get worse or does it kind of remain the same?
Generally speaking, I think that's a great question. I think in general, my experience is that those people in their 20s, 30s, if their sleep apnea is already profound, those are the folks who may end up, in their 40s and 50s having strokes and heart attacks. Yeah, if they're going untreated. Um, does sleep apnea get worse as we age? The answer is yes. Basically, our muscles, our tissues are getting weaker and weaker. They're more and more collapsible as we age.
Listening to, your analysis of my results,
Mm,
uh, it's quite easy to see how many people, like the statistics, right?
mm-hmm,
1 in 3 Singaporeans actually suffer from sleep apnea,
mm-hmm.
but they do not know it.
Yeah.
They've gone undiagnosed.
Mm.
They thought everything was fine. I thought everything was fine until you
Okay.
told me,
Yeah. Yeah.
to look at these areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it makes sense to me right now. Yeah, 1 in 3, it's very possible. And knowing
Yeah.
the health impact, I think it's something to be not taken lightly. And
Yeah.
I also want to ask you to maybe share a bit more about the other kinds of impact besides, the possibility of it leading to stroke and heart attacks and, many other health issues. What other impacts does sleep apnea cause?
Mm. Okay. So, sleep apnea can cause workplace accidents, driving accidents. Okay, so one of my patients, he actually drove his car into a tunnel, okay, the KPE tunnel. He fell asleep and well, crashed into, the wall, and he totaled his car. Yeah, his car, I'll see if I can try and send you a picture of his car later, but basically, um, he was beyond repair, and he shared with me that because he didn't buy comprehensive insurance, he lost about 50K value in that one accident. Yeah, he told me that, man, I should have started my CPAP therapy earlier. It will save me this, gigantic trouble of falling asleep, at the wheel and totaling my car.
So I
Yeah.
assume he did start his CPAP therapy.
He did, yeah. Like
Okay,
pretty
that's
much
good.
straight after that. But yeah, don't wait for that to happen.
What other impact to, let's say, relationships or family life?
Mm. Well, I mean, if you basically have the energy to enjoy your children, to enjoy time with your spouse, that is, something that really versus not having the energy to do it. I do know of people, myself included, yeah, we ended up, like going for an outing, but you're just too tired in the middle of the outing. You just sleep at the table, sleep in the car instead
Mm-hmm.
of continuing with the
Yeah, you
outing. Yeah,
just doze off, right?
that's happening. That's happened to me before. I had to sleep in the car instead of, having an outing. It's very disruptive and destructive to relationships. One of my customers, he shared with me that his ex-wife left him in part because of his loud snoring. Yeah, which was like it kind of like hit me in the heart because he was in tears, explaining that to me, and he was I could see the regret in his face. Like, what if he had CPAP earlier? Maybe his life direction would just be different. In terms of relationship, just like having a normal night's sleep instead of snoring loudly. Yeah, I have so many customers who they experience sleep apnea divorce. Yeah, just like different rooms. Yeah, they sleep in different rooms because of the loud snoring. The good thing is that when my clients and patients they come onto CPAP therapy, they do come back together in the same bed.
Final question.
Sure.
Youngest that, has was diagnosed with sleep
Sleep apnea.
apnea.
Sleep apnea can happen to newborn babies. Yeah. So those folks who have so babies who are born premature, some of them in the NICU units, they get placed on CPAP machines. Those CPAP machines are pretty much similar to adult CPAP machines, just that they have pediatric, smaller kind of masks. Yeah, but once they're beyond this kind of like infant stage, for toddlers, preschoolers, if they have sleep apnea, usually the medical advice to them is tonsil and adenoid removal. But once they pass that toddler and primary schooler, secondary schooler kind of age, when they have adult sized bodies onwards, usually CPAP therapy is the first line of defense for sleep apnea for these kind of cases. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
CPAP therapy
Okay.
is considered by Sing Health and the rest of the world, all the medical experts, to be the gold standard to treat sleep apnea. Okay, it's a non-invasive, non-medicine solution to sleep apnea. And in fact, I mean, sleep apnea in the core is a physiological issue where the components of your body, the upper airway is collapsing. So sleep apnea, CPAP therapy, using a gentle blower is a physical solution to that physical problem. So it's a very
Mm.
like direct and straightforward way to resolve sleep apnea. Yeah,
This has been very informative, and
pleasure.
thank you for sharing all this information. And I want to just speak to our audience right now. Number one, if you do not know or you're not sure if you have sleep apnea, uh, just do the test, which I did. You just
Mm,
wear the ring for a few nights, and everything will be recorded into an app, which Josh will and his team will be able to diagnose, analyze, and then tell you what they have discovered, what they have found. And then after that, they can recommend certain treatments for you. All right.
pleasure.
So do not hesitate to do that. Take the first step, and
Yeah,
then you can make up your mind about what you want to do next
yeah,
after that.
yeah.
So, Josh, I want to thank you for your time and your
You,
sharing your
thanks for
expertise,
having
the
me.
information. I think this is definitely a very important information that everybody needs to know of, both for adults as well as for
Younger people.
children.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope you have a nice day.